getting an inquiry about his involvement in corruption. Edward Martin on Friday dismissed 30 federal prosecutors. Martin said, well, we're going to need to make sure we have her records and her emails. Oh, man, it's so good. FBI agents are freaked, and so is Chuck Schumer. He's getting an inquiry about his involvement in corruption and what he was doing with threats to Judge Kavanaugh back when he was standing on the steps of the Supreme Court saying, we're coming for you, if you remember that. So the Washington Post is talking to folks inside the DOJ who are hitting the panic button, and they posted this saying that the DC U.S. attorney, the new one, Trump's, fires J6 prosecutors and now launches new probes. Schumer got one. You can see here's what they're reporting. Interim DC U.S. attorney called Edward Martin on Friday dismissed 30 federal prosecutors who've worked on the J6 cases over the last 4 years, undertaking a house cleaning while going even further. Look at this, extending the office's scrutiny to top Democratic leaders and former Justice Department officials. Woo! Andrew Weissman's pooping his little pantalones. Now, the prosecutors were on probationary status after being converted to full-time from shorter-term positions, if you remember. Biden came out, and a lot of these people were hired for like J6 and capital cases, and you're part of the special unit and all this crap, right? So they could use these funds and all this. Then, as soon as Trump won, like, you're full-time employees. Oh, well, you got 90 days to be, on probation, or 6 months to be on probation. Trump comes in, oh, you're all full-time employees. Oh, that's fun. That means you're on probation. That means I could just nuke you right now. Almost did him a favor, it sounds like. After Election Day, saying according to documents sent from Martin and the acting Deputy Attorney General, Emil Bove, in the House. How good does it feel? We watched Emil Bove on the other side of this, being attacked for years. They were emailed around 5 p.m. yesterday and viewed by the Washington Post. In his first 11 days in office, Martin, 54, has moved quickly to align the office with Trump's, obviously DOJ, since, he won. He's ordered top supervisors to investigate their colleagues. And I love this, right? This is how you do it. You split the room in half. This side, you investigate them. You investigate them. Bring me the best cases. Whoever brings me the best cases against the worst criminals inside this office survives. And he appeared to set his sights on scrutinizing the nation's top elected Democrat, sending what he called, a letter of inquiry to Chuck Schumer about his quickly walked back statement in a March 2020 rally that two of Trump's recently nominated Supreme Court justices, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, remember, would pay the price for a vote against abortion. We're coming for you, Kavanaugh. You're a whirlwind. And then he's like, uh-oh. And then January 6th happened, and he's like, Trump should go to jail for that. We take threats against public officials very seriously, and I look forward to your cooperation, said Martin to Schumer in a letter that the Post obtained, which I'd love to see. Martin's actions are likely to be welcomed by Trump and other allies. Career prosecutors say Martin's politicizing the office. Hilarious, right? Breaking 50 years of DOJ policy. Hilarious. Who prosecuted who? Trump was on the receiving end of precedent-shattering conduct from every element of the DOJ and the FBI. They warned that an exodus of veteran prosecutors are going to threaten public safety. Yeah, they're not going to be able to round up the pro-life protesters anymore. Friday's notification went out to people being terminated who served in the office's now disbanded Capitol Siege Prosecution Section, AFWEDA, according to 4 people, and documents viewed by the Post. The cuts amount to 8% of the office's prosecutors, and that's just warming up. Combined with the recently announced freeze in hiring, the openings will have impacts across the entire agency. In a memo also dated Friday, Acting Attorney General Deputy Bove directed the termination of the prosecutors. He said their hiring was subversive, and it was an action by the Biden administration that hindered his ability to staff the office with people to faithfully implement Trump's agenda. Said, I will not tolerate subversive personnel actions by the previous administration at any U.S. attorney's office, says Bove. The memo didn't mention that there was a hiring freeze, but an email sent by Martin notified recipients to retain all documents, 2 personnel decisions regarding attorneys hired to support the casework about the J6 case, saying they're coming after those who weaponize law enforcement and intelligence agencies against him and MAGA and America. It's not just about Trump, okay? They came out, Biden came and gave us the gates of hell speech. Remember that with the red lights and the demons poking out of his ears. And they also accused us of causing a winter of misery and death and so on. Now, the dismissals came after James McHenry, the acting AG, earlier this week fired Jack Smith's team. The FBI is considering a mass purge of other agents involved in the investigations of Trump. Yeah, just warming up. They're just like cracking their knuckles. They're like, all right, where should we start? More than a dozen current and former DC U.S. prosecutors contacted about Martin condemned the actions. Okay, so all these ex-DOJ people like, our friends are getting nuked. Here's one. U.S. Attorney, former Ashley Akers, was on MSNBC. She resigned last week, resigned in disgrace. She said, politics above all, that's what this DOJ is about, politics. So she had to resign. The message it sends is adhere to the president and the will of the president or you'll be fired. And second, it shows a lack of independence at the Justice Department. Ashley, come on, Ashley, let's not kid ourselves. Martin is the first U.S. attorney for D.C. in at least 50 years not to have served as a judge or federal prosecutor. Good, that's why he's qualified. Sheesh. Posing what former U.S. officials say is an extraordinary challenge because only a lifelong DOJ bureaucrat can manage other lifelong DOJ bureaucrats, right? They're like, well, he's not one of us. He hasn't been here for 40 years. Martin and the U.S. Attorney's Office declined requests for interviews. Of course, they're working, but allies said that after Trump campaigned on vows to seek retribution, this is happening now. Martin seeks to learn whether prosecutors were politically motivated to punish Trump supporters. Of course they were. More than 250 defendants charged with various crimes. These decisions began under career prosecutors, and they were upheld by nearly all judges, is coping the Washington Post. In Washington, D.C., which is 93% Democrat, voted for Kamala Harris. It's not justice or due process at all. Martin's instructions on other charges, the 1512 charge, he's going to find oh my gosh, this is just music to my ears. This was that obstruction and destruction of documents charge. He's going to find the origins of the legal theory and the purveyors of it. He's going to follow through accordingly. So whatever goons and we're sending emails like, how we could manipulate this law to go and prosecute the J6ers, they're getting routed out, said a Trump legal advisor close to Martin who referred to the obstruction statute by its section number and spoke on condition of anonymity. He said, someone else, Mike Davis, another friend of Martin and a conservative, what's up, Mike Davis, says, people are going to learn the hard way that there's going to be accountability for a politicized and weaponized DOJ, saying that this is just the tip of the spear. Martin moves and his moves so far appear aligned with the aims of OMB Director Russell Vought, also saying he's going to try to make civil servants quit. Civil servants, right? The rest of us are employees. They're civil servants because their paycheck comes from the government. Martin served as a deputy policy director for the RNC under Vought, an architect of Project 2025, a conservative effort. Yeah, okay. Former colleagues said that his affability and zeal were evident to those who worked around him. He's one of the hardest working candidates I've ever seen. I like Ed. Martin has found himself at the center of controversy. Backups are fake. Okay, so his history, blah, blah, blah. So he's just crushing over there. Martin also tasked two other top leaders, the heads of its federal criminal division and public corruption units, to lead a fast-tracked review of prosecutors and their handling of the J6 prosecutions, ordering those senior supervisors to investigate colleagues. Oh my gosh, investigate your friends. Turn around and you're investigating him, His email password is this, his email password is that. Ready, go. A devout Catholic raised in central New Jersey, shout out, Martin graduated from College of the Holy Cross in Worcester, Mass., earned a philosophy degree at Pontifical Georgian University in Rome. He's now exorcising the demons. In 2018, Martin moved his wife and 4 children to Northern Virginia suburb. He's got a lot of influence. And man, they did a nice little bio on him. We will need to make sure we have her records and emails. He says, in this week's note, Martin accused Akers, right? The woman who was just on MSNBC, probably with Jen Psaki, the prosecutor who just left. He said, she's bad-mouthing our work and me. Then Akers, she's like, I better shut up and stop bad-mouthing the DOJ. She declined to speak with the Post afterwards and said in cable news interviews that it was appalling that Martin advocated for members of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and urging the court to undo the stay-away orders from Washington. Called his review of the J6 cases a wild goose chase. Why? Because you shredded the files, Ashley? Martin said, well, we're going to need to make sure we have her records and her emails. Oh, man, it's so good. She better not have deleted anything because those might be obstruction charges.